Hey, welcome to Frontline Beef. Thank you for joining the show. I appreciate all you guys listening, all you guys and girls listening. At this point, I want to give a shout out to my new sponsors. Of course, there's WM Customs. Quality products, jerseys, pants, any kind of soft goods you need. Quality products, affordable prices. You can actually afford them. They get there fast enough to where you can order them and play your next event in them. Also do beard care, beard oil, beard balm. Just hit me up at WM Customs on Facebook, and I'll get you sorted away. Matt Sossman is going to bring back the Matt Sossman Skill School, and that's a lot of words to say at once, but I believe in this guy 100%. If you want to get trained up on how to play paintball like a pro, speedball, woods ball, whatever you want, hit up Matt Sossman and the Matt Sossman Skill School. I know he's got a Facebook page still. Hit him up there. Hit him up on his personal page. This guy will get you sorted away. He will get you be a better player. And speaking of playing paintball, my favorite field, Paintball Central. I play Paintball Central Greensboro a lot. I love the field. There's also Paintball Central in Greenville, South Carolina, and Rock Hill, South Carolina. Amazing fields. Rock Hill is one of the better fields to go to for speedball. And Greensboro is just amazing. Like speedball, rec ball. They get scenarios there. Anything you want. Amazing field. Great staff. I can't say enough good things about them. I love Paintball Central. And finally, E&M Imaging. My buddy Eric, veteran owned. I know he's probably kind of wants to downplay the whole veteran thing because everybody plays it these days, but veteran owned and operated for medical equipment like MRIs and CAT scan machines and all sorts of stuff. He repairs, supplies, trains. If you need a guy that actually takes care of you from the phone call to out the door and then comes back for you, this is the place to call. E&M Imaging is the way to go. And now on with the show. Hey, that was me trying my new sponsor intro. So give me some time to perfect that a little bit. I kind of went unscripted for some reason. So tonight, I've been saying for a while that I want to dive into some other hobbies. And, lately, we've been getting some information that the government is acknowledging that there are actually aliens, or UFOs at least. And yes, I have notes because there's a lot of stuff to really go over and everything. So I kind of wanted to make sure I had notes with this one. All right. So in case you missed it, earlier this year, so I actually have the notes somewhere, somewhere here. But anyway, the government admitted that the Pentagon was briefed that we are in possession and studying crafts that are not of this world. And what that means, if you look at it that way, crafts not of this world, that's UFOs. Well, they might not be UFOs to them because if they have them and they're studying, there might not be unidentified anymore. All right. So that's just one of the long list of lately the government is actually releasing stuff saying that, hey, we got stuff. We got aliens. We got UFOs. And it's a very strange turn of events because before it was always, no, there's no such thing as UFOs. There's no such thing as aliens. No, nothing's out there. Nothing's out there. Roswell was 1947, and the front lines of front page of the newspaper read crashed UFO recovered. And then it was retracted immediately, and the government said, hey, it wasn't a UFO. It was a weather balloon. Okay, so that was 1947. And ever since the it wasn't the start of the UFO phenomenon. All through history, there's paintings like the Mona Lisa has a depiction of a UFO man. Hieroglyphs in Egypt have depictions of UFOs and people inside of them. They have depictions of different creatures bringing stuff to the human race. Cave paintings have depictions of UFOs. And yes, that may have been their way of like, oh, something in the sky happened, so it must have been something up there messing around. But it's been around forever. And our government has declined it. No, it's not real. Not real. Roswell comes out. You got UFOs. We got one. No, it's not real. It's not real. Okay, take you back to 1942, February 25th. Los Angeles, California. The Naval Intelligence warned the military station there that something was inbound within 10 hours. Okay, so that's kind of strange. Well, at that night, there was a Battle of Los Angeles. They actually named a movie after it later. If you Google Battle of Los Angeles, it's a real thing. Let's see, they issued a total blackout, and it was the Coast Artillery Brigade and the 4th Interceptor Command sent the Artillery Brigade shot artillery at these objects in the sky. The Interceptor Squadron sent jets up there. Well, when all was said and done, 1,400 shells were shot at something that was in the sky. Buildings are damaged, cars are damaged. 5 civilians died of it was mostly secondary stuff like heart attacks from being around all this stuff. Because 1942, people weren't used to this kind of shit. We've been more inclined to see this stuff, so it doesn't really affect us as much. But 1942, Battle of Los Angeles happened, and it was reported that we were being attacked by something. It later came out to, oh no, it wasn't anything. They said it was multiple objects. It was reported originally multiple objects entered the area, and we responded to them. Shot 1,400 shells at them. That's a lot of ammo. And it got played down again to, oh, it was a weather balloon. One weather balloon caused all that damage. Caused artillery to be shot at it, caused jets to be sent to intercept it. Okay. Not too many people know about that one. And, they say, it was on the brink of war, World War II. So it could have just been people being scared of stuff. And they saw something on radar and just jumped on it. Okay, I get that, But nowadays you've got stuff being released saying, you know what? Aliens may be real, so that may have really happened. There may have been real aliens there. We fast forward to the 1980s. Or actually 1989. Bob Lazar came out and said, hey, I worked at Los Alamos. I worked at S4, which S4 is right down the road from Area 51. He came out in 1989 and said there's element 115 out there that we worked with. It bends light so you can't see whatever it feels you can't see because it's reflecting light and everything, bending light so you can't see it. And it creates its own gravity to where it flies. Okay? So it doesn't have real propulsion or anything. It just, the element makes it do what it does. Well, he got laughed at, there's no such thing as element 115. There's no way this stuff happens. There's no way and a craft moves the way it moves. He was saying the craft would sit there like this for a little bit, and then once it turned up on sight, it's gone. So he explained how everything, the propulsion worked, how everything worked on it, and he was laughed at by the scientific community. Oh no, that didn't happen. Well, this man had been doing for years. He went to MIT, and MIT he got a master's degree in physics. He also went to Caltech and got a master's degree in electronic technology, or at least he says he did. Now, the funny part about that is he has no records for doing it in his school. Okay, so that's kind of strange, but maybe he didn't go to school after all. Well, he's built rocket cars, rocket motorcycles. He's built all kinds of stuff that like somebody with a basic understanding of electronics, physics, anything would not know how to do. So he had to have been trained somewhere. Okay, so then you go into so he doesn't have an education records or anything. Well, then they check him out. Did he work at Los Alamos S4? No, there's no record of him being there. Okay, the government says Bob Lazar never worked for us doing anything. But Bob Lazar took a camera crew. I'm not sure how he got through the security work, and he took them to S4 and like at Los Alamos and showed them where everything is. Like he had a basic general knowledge of where everything's at. That's still you can play that off. He also talked about these hand scanners that when you put your hand on, that's how you got access to the lab or whatever. Well, that technology didn't exist in the civilian world in the 80s. And everyone said, well, that didn't exist here either because, we don't find that anywhere. There's no record of this hand scanner being anywhere. There's nothing. Years later, someone was going through storage and they found one of these hand scanners. Okay, so now you're like, okay, well, his story is still not that believable. He said he went to college. He didn't go to college. He said he worked here. Nobody said he worked here. Okay, well, he knows he knows what it looks like inside. He knows that you had to use a hand scanner to get in there. Okay, that's just general knowledge. Anybody can know. Well, then they start talking to people that work there, and they remember Bob Lazar. Okay, so then it starts getting a little fishy here. Well, if he didn't work there, how do they know him? Then somebody found the personal record, not personal record, the phone directory of everyone that worked at the labs. Lo and behold, Bob Lazar's name was on the record. So you put some two and two together. The government said he didn't work there. People know him there. He was on the directory. He knew about the hand scanner. He knew about the general layout of the labs. So it gets kind of believable there. Okay, so for a man that says he worked there and he took element 115 out of the lab, for the government to say he didn't work here, then why would they believe that he took element 115? Why would they raid his lab over and over again? If a man is saying if he worked somewhere, like if I said I worked at Area 51, and I have records, the government's going to look at me and be like, this dude never worked at Area 51. He has no records of anything. We're not going to mess with him. If I say I worked at Area 51 or S4 and I have something, and I did, that's when you're going to come and investigate me. So he's been actually like investigating me anytime. Like documentary came out last year, and it was about Bob Lazar. And immediately after one of the documentary crew left, his lab got raided again. So we're talking 40 years later, 30 years. He gets raided once again by the Alphabet Boys. That lends more credibility in my eyes that he was actually there. He actually looked at stuff that he was way above his pay grade, and he's told people about it. That makes me believe Bob Lazar. Okay, so his story is he was hired because they had craft there that were not from this world, and conventional scientists weren't really understanding the technology. So they hired some people that thought out of the box, like Bob Lazar, like the guy that would put rockets in the back of a little Toyota or whatever it was. I can't remember what it was. So they hired him, and he said everything was compartmentalized. So when you worked on something, you only worked on this part. A different company worked different unit worked on different part. A different unit worked on a different part. So he said that he was actually working on flying saucers. Like he knew how they worked and everything. Like he knew the element 115 was used. He worked with it. It created its own own gravitational pull, and that's how the spaceships flew. And it had some kind of like special propulsion that we are not able to replicate right now on our own. Sounds unbelievable, but the fact of all the government raids and what seems to be a cover-up of trying to make people believe he did not work there and does not have an educational degree makes me believe Bob Lazar. Makes me believe there's something out there. All right. So here goes now. Now we're going back to the future days. Or not future, present day. 2017. It gets leaked that ATIP was a real organization, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. And they were used to study UFOs and alien encounters. Now they were founded in 2007, and they got about $22 million a year to do what they do. And obviously, that's what they were doing. They were studying UFOs, until 2012 when they got defunded. And the government says, after, we did have this program. We admit we had this. 2017, they admitted they had the program. And they said, we shut it down. 5 years, shut the program down. There's nobody researching UFOs anymore. 2020 comes along. And they proved that to be false because it got shut down. The Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, ATIP, got shut down. But something got put in its place called the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force. And it's been running to this day. They found financial records and also kind of records that say, this is the program. Okay, so if you had a program that was studying UFOs and you didn't find anything, 5 years, you spent $22 million a year for 5 years. You didn't find any evidence of UFOs or aliens. Kill it. But to put another program in its place that sounds about the same dialect there, to put that in its place and keep funding it, that says to me there's something out there. That says to me there's something out there worth examining. That was 2017 when they admitted that shit. Like they admitted the ATIP existed, and now the UAPTF, that was 3 years later when they said that they admitted, okay, we renamed the damn organization. Okay, so 2017 they admit they have this shit. All right, well last year they admitted that these radar and images that were captured by naval pilots of Tic Tacs, they're real. They're not doctored or edited or anything kind of videos. They admit there's something on those videos that they can't explain that is like a craft. Like 2004, Commander Fravor from the USS Nimitz, he's part of a crew that documented it. He admits he didn't know what it was at first, but the stories are they were on training exercise, and the USS Princeton said, "Hey, we need you guys out here to go check something else out. It's a real world threat. We need you guys to go look at." So they flew out there to the spot, and they saw something hovering over the ocean. And there's a lot of theories about UFOs, why you don't ever see them go anywhere. It's because they go into the ocean. So 2 and 2 together again. They saw this thing hovering over the ocean. Well, it noticed them because they're trying to get close to it. And it took off. They said it would go ridiculous speeds, like 3,700 miles per hour out of nowhere. And would go from 60,000 feet to sea level in no time. And, they try to cover it up because everybody's going to laugh at us. Well, they also have videos from 2005 and 2015 they released. Naval jets, F-18s, pretty much tracking the exact same objects. They don't leave a trail. They don't leave like a heat signature or anything. They're cold objects, according to the heat sensor. And Commander Favor says that whenever he started tracking one of the objects, it started actively jamming his radar and all his instruments, which would be technically an act of war if it was a terrestrial aircraft. So he admits he gets now the Navy, 15 fucking years later, they're saying, okay, well, what he saw was real. Those videos, real. So since 1947, or actually 1940, probably before that, we've been sitting there telling people, or the government's been telling people, shit's not real, shit's not real, shit's not real. There's no such thing as UFOs or aliens or anything. Within the last 3 years, all this information has come out. Last 3 years, our naval videos, F-18s, they're real. There's something there. 2017, we had something. We had a program in place, an organization in place that tracked this kind of stuff. 2020, we still have an organization out there that tracks this stuff. And then just recently, a couple months ago, they admit the Pentagon was briefed. There's actually craft on this world that we're examining that didn't come from this world. It's all fucking amazing shit, right? But why would you sit there for 70 years, deny there's anything as UFOs or aliens or anything, and now just dump a whole bunch of information out there? Okay, so theory, people are saying, they're using this kind of stuff to distract us from Pedophile Island or, any of the shady shit in Washington. Okay. The information this year, maybe. But we also had information 3 years ago when people didn't even believe Pedophile Island really exists. I don't believe that's the real reason either, because it got mentioned in the news for like a day or two and it was done. If it was meant to sidetrack us from what's going on, it would be a bigger story. The media could have made a bigger story. There's another theory out there that what they're doing is they're slowly preparing us for that day when the aliens show up. Just feed us a little information. Here's some videos, but they're not real. We actually did have a place tracking them. Okay, we still do. We still have people tracking them. They exist. The videos are real. They exist. Okay, we have aircraft. We have UFOs on here that we're looking at. Next step would be, we kind of broke it to you that there's aliens out there. So don't be so excited, but there's alien craft will be here in 2 days. That's a big theory there. And I don't know how much of this that I believe, but I do believe something's out there. There's too many planets, there's too many stars, there's too many moons, there's too many everything out in the universe to say that we're alone. It's the statistics aren't supporting the fact that we're alone. And I'm not going to go into the religious debate or anything. I get that in order for a planet to form that would hold life, the everything about that would have to be very specific. Like us, we have to be a certain amount of distance from the sun so we don't burn up. But we have to be close enough to where we don't freeze. There has to be a certain amount of water. There has to be a certain amount of hydrogen and oxygen in the atmosphere. There has to be an atmosphere here to support life. There has to be an ozone layer to keep the sun from burning the fuck out of you. All that, plus there had to be some kind of microorganism to actually live. That's a very rare thing to do. Have all those things come together. But if you only had 9 planets in the solar system, then 1 out of 9, that's very good odds. Very very high odds or whatever. 1 out of 9 is not good. But if you have billions and billions and billions of planets, the odds are a little bit better that there's at least one other civilization out there on a different planet. They just recently found a solar system that looks a lot like ours, light years away. So who's to say that the exact same situations that came together to make life here didn't do it there? Who's to say there's not a multiverse where there is actually another planet Earth where there's a jackass with a weird haircut talking about snails and shit instead of aliens? Or he could be talking about the same thing I am. There could be a multiverse where there's multiple people looking like me with the same name doing the same thing. I don't know. But I believe in our universe alone, there has to be other life. And, we like to push the thing. We need to find out. We've sent satellites out there. We've sent them satellites that like play music. Out here, we don't know what your language is. We'll send you some languages. We'll send you some music, and we'll let you guys. Here's us. We're introducing ourselves, and hopefully you guys respond well to us. Well, who's to say other civilizations, people, and planets or whatever aren't doing the exact same thing? Like, there was a video I watched about a space mission where when you go around the backside of the moon, it used to like put you in like radio silence. So like the only people you could talk to in the whole universe were the people on your ship. And when they got to the backside of the moon, they started hearing music and weird sounds over the radio. And in the video you see they get creeped out a little bit. Then they come back in. Maybe they heard our music and sent music back to us. Or maybe it was just an anomaly. Don't know. There have been astronauts that said they've seen stuff. They've seen UFOs. It's John Glenn. John Glenn said he saw a UFO. And here's my theory. Like I said, my theory is there has to be something out there. Are they intelligent? Who knows? Do they have space travel? Who knows? But you can't say they don't because you don't know. Like they may have evolved differently than us. There's theories out there that aliens have been around forever, and they came down and like helped us evolve. So they would be so far advanced. So they'd have to have people like spaceships running around. And here's another thing. Like, I know this is going to sound like I'm kooky and shit, but here's a theory on other things. Like, why haven't we met aliens yet? Like, we send people out to space. There's people at the International Space Station. Why haven't we been contacted? Why haven't we like had anybody come back and say, "Hey, we've met aliens"? Okay, so 1969, July 20th, we sent a mission to the moon. And whether you believe that moon landing was real or not, we're not going to go into that right now. 1969. Between 1969 and 1972, we sent six missions to the moon, where actually people got out onto the moon. It was manned orbit to the moon. 6 missions in 4 years. All right, that's it. 6 missions in 3 years. And we haven't sent anyone back to the moon since. At least they haven't told anybody they sent anybody to the moon since. Okay, so pretty much every president that I've been living through, one of the first things they say when they get elected in office is, "We're going to the moon." George H.W. Bush, "We're going to the moon." George W. Bush, "We're going to the moon." Obama, "We're going to the moon and Mars." Trump, "We're going to Mars." Bill Clinton, "We're going to the moon." I'm probably forgetting people, whatever. I'm pretty old now. Anyway, so if you're going to sit there week one of your presidential reign, or not reign, presidential term, if you're sitting there telling us week one that it is a priority to send people to the moon, to send people to Mars, and then you don't. You've been in office 4 years, you've been in office 8 years, and in those years you didn't do it. Nobody sent anybody back to the moon. We're not even getting close to Mars. We're sending satellites. That's about it. It's gotten so bad. Like you pretty much defunded the NASA. You're taking a lot of their funds away. It's been so bad that like civilians, Elon Musk, for example, it created their own company to send people to space. So why haven't we been back? It's been 66 years. I'm sorry. It's been 51 years since we've been back to the moon or to Mars. Okay. Well, you're saying, 51 years going to Mars. We still got a lot of technology to go through and all this other shit. And, okay. So let's think about it this way. The Wright brothers, 1903. They had the first man flight on an airplane. It only lasted seconds. It only got a few feet in the air. So from 1903 to 1969 is 66 years. So you tell me the technology advanced so far in 66 years that we went from flying a couple feet above the ground for a few seconds to sending people to the fucking moon. But yet in the 51 years since then, we don't have the technology to send people to Mars or anywhere past the moon. 66 years we went from jumping distance to the moon in 66 years and have not been able to push past the moon ever since. It's been 51 years. That throws me off a little bit. You would figure the way our technology is advancing. I grew up in the 80s. In the 80s, we didn't have cell phones. Whenever that time was around, computers were super slow, super huge. They were size of like rooms on their own. They couldn't do a lot. And then the 90s come around, and we start getting these cell phones that are in your car, and it's $10 damn minute, all this other shit to talk. From the 90s to now, less than 30 years, we've gone from having computers that were the size of rooms to having cell phones that were this big to now you have something like this. And it's iPhone 7, so it's old as shit. That instantly connects you to anybody in the world. You have instant access to any information you want. We have the internet. The internet came around fast as shit too. This thing takes pictures. It sends videos over the air to somebody else. I can send a message to somebody in fucking Pakistan right now if I want to. All this technology is advanced so far. Like we have electric cars now. We have cars that park them themselves. We have cars you push a button, they come to you. All this technology is going on. And 51 years after the first moon landing, we can't get past the moon anymore. That doesn't make sense to me. Now, there is shit in space out there. Supposedly there's a second moon orbiting around the Earth. I haven't really researched that one too much. I could probably do a video on it. I kind of want to do these videos anyway and research stuff. Research some things. This was my generic video where I kind of just want to delve into it, but I want to be more specific on certain things. So supposedly there's a second moon out there. And I watched a video the other day of our moon, the moon we know, there's crazy shit bouncing around the orbit up there. I'm not sure what the hell it was, but it's kind of crazy video. And then there's black night floating around the atmosphere, or not the atmosphere, in space around us. It's been there for decades. Looks just like a spaceship at some points. And you figure if it was just space junk, like the government says, it would have fallen out of the atmosphere already. But it just sits there. And it's been seen for decades. There's shit like that I'm going to go into. But my theory right now of why we haven't been back to the moon, why we haven't been to Mars, we pretty much send people to the International Space Station That's about it. We don't land on anything anymore. My theory is, and you guys are probably gonna call me a crackpot if you watch this shit. If within 66 years we get to the moon, and 51 years later we don't go anywhere else, there's a reason. Something's stopping us from going further. Something's telling us don't come back to the moon. And I feel like maybe, when we sent people to the moon, they met something that either told them or inferred to them that they were not to come back. Don't come back. Don't land on planets. Don't do shit. And I know like it's a crackpot theory, but it's something like it makes it. It's one of those things like it sounds good in my head because, like I say, 66 years we go from airplane to rocket to the moon. It kind of makes me think, within 51 years, with all the technology advancing, we could be going past the moon already. We could have like a colony on the fucking moon, probably. But anyway, that was my show about some UFO shit. Like I say, I kind of want to go more in depth with UFOs and paranormal stuff. That's my new. I'm still gonna do paintball podcast. I got some paintball podcasts lined up, but I want to expand a little bit. Especially with all this whole damn lockdown going on and knee surgery coming up, I'm gonna have a lot of time on my hands, so I just want to go ahead and get some stuff and like actually, get my little other hobbies and other interests out of there. Just try to keep myself busy and maybe people can learn some few things. You learned tonight that I'm a fucking crackpot and believe in aliens, whatever. But if you have any stories you want to share, or you have any topics you want me to cover, send me a message. You can send it to my personal account. You can send it to the Frontline Beef podcast. Send me whatever you want, and we'll talk about it and we'll go over it and see what we can do with it. I got a couple paintball podcasts lined up. I've got a more of a veteran oriented show coming up soon. It's something that's going to be pretty close to my heart here. I know I've got one of those. It's a surprise, I know, but I got some stuff lined up. I'm going to come out with, and there's going to be some information dropped soon about some paintball events coming up, and I'll probably cover those too. But I think for now, I'm gonna call it a night. Grizz is finally passed out and time to eat, I guess. Like I say, if you have anything, any kind of show you want me to cover, paintball. If you want me to have some guests on here, tell me who you want to see. Tell me what games you want to talk about. We'll talk about it. You want to talk about paranormal stuff? Hit me up. If you got stories, hit me up. If you want me to cover something, hit me up. I do movie reviews. They're kind of shitty right now, but I'm getting better, I think. If you want me to review a movie, let me know. Shows me wide. I'm covering a wide base here. I want the show to just cover random shit. Other than that, I appreciate you guys listening. I appreciate my sponsors for believing in me, I guess. I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you for showing up.